What would the world look like if we were healing the land, we were in closer relationship with it, we were producing healthy food and distributing that food to people who need it within our communities, and reincorporating and engaging in regional food systems within the global food system. I think that would produce very different health outcomes across the population. That is something that we're really interested in deepening conversation around and creating offerings that reconnect healthcare professionals to land-based learning, not only for procurement of food off that land, but I think for also like the social and human connection that can have benefits in a public health crisis that is very much what we're facing.
Am I looking at this through kind of a food lens or a health lens? Because what I've come to understand over time is that there is no separation, actually. There's no border, or if there is a border, it's super porous, right? Because health is food, food is health. The food system spreads out so far, right? It touches so many different things. I've just been so excited to get to work with so many different people and have so many allies within the food system thinking about, better ways, more regenerative ways of being.
I came to farming and to growing food from a lens of like a concern about health and about human health and about nutrition, and the less tillage and the more cover cropping that each farm participated in, the more nutrient dense the vegetables were, like up to like 400% more nutritious. And so then I started to get really concerned with the intersection of human health and climate health, and then the solution that was so clear and like golden and glowing was to farm regeneratively.
How do we change our dietary patterns in the US? It's not ever going to be done through telling people what to eat alone. We have to move back up and actually look at what's on the shelves of supermarkets. What are we growing? In what ways are we growing it? As a professor, I teach this class called Transforming Food Systems, and I felt like I'm teaching this and I'm bringing in a lot of guest speakers who are amazing and who are doing great things, but I want to spend more time out in the field, like on farms, seeing the work, being part of that. And it was just an amazing opportunity. And then I came here and I was like, oh, they're doing so much more than just educating people about regenerative agriculture. They are creating a space for people to reimagine together.
I just was so grateful for the time that I spent at Climate Farm School. And while I maybe come from a background where I was already interested in it, and interested in regenerative farming, and also thinking about nutrition, and also thinking about farmers, the Climate Farm School really sort of solidified that for me even more, and just increased that commitment, I think, more than anything else. And not only, again, for my patients, I actually tell all my colleagues about it. So if I have a CME that I can tell them about, I'm going to 100% to recommend it to anyone who is looking for a CME that maybe isn't sort of the standard type of CME course, and expand that horizon, maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I would 100% recommend doing it.
We all have these moments where we think, man, this feels like an emergency, right? Mm-hmm. But people around you in most jobs aren't really reacting. So you sort of think, is it just me? And maybe you kind of quiet down and put your head down. But those people that have sort of woken up to what's happening, and I don't mean to sound too dire, but have really realized the tragedy of the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis, it can be really lonely, really lonely. And to come to a place like Climate Farm School, where everybody's talking about the same thing, and they're talking about in a context where they're learning hopeful solutions, it's a relief. It's a huge relief for people.
Sometimes I think we can become self-conscious almost when we're trying to build a network or relate differently or relate more widely. Like, there's lots of different ways of thinking about it. But when you're actually putting your hands in the earth or you're cooking a meal together, it does just happen naturally. And the other thing that I think is really important, we're facing climate catastrophe. Like, there's no question. And I don't know if we have a half a generation, maybe we have more. But we know that somewhere. We don't always deal with that. And this is a space to actually really allow that fear and those concerns to come up in a safe container, but that's a generative container that helps you think about, what can I do next then? How do I take what I'm doing now? How do I amass more allies for my work? What's the next step? Who needs to come together? What are those steps? And what a beautiful thing to be able to experience that grief that all of us have, but then leave feeling like you know what your next step is.